The Stanley Cup final just ended, and it didn't really feel like much of a final. The Florida Panthers didn't just win the series, they controlled it. They smothered the Oilers, shut down McDavid, and made Edmonton's high-powered offense look completely powerless. Sure, it technically went 6 games, but let's be honest, this was a mismatch from the jump. The Panthers were faster, they were smarter, nastier, and tougher in every zone. And now, they've done what only the great teams do. They finished the job again. 2 cups in 2 years, 3 straight trips to the final. It's not a fluke anymore, it's a blueprint to a dynasty. They didn't just build a contender, they built a machine. And while they were hoisting the cup, Connor McDavid was left staring into space for the 2nd year in a row. Still ringless, still empty-handed, still somehow chasing something that's always just out of reach. But before we talk legacy, before we talk dynasties, heartbreak, or what comes next, let's rewind and take a look back at how everything unfolded in Game 6. Bobby Lou got us hyped up banging the drum, and the puck was dropped for Game 6. The cup was in the building, and it was a chance for Florida to win the cup on home ice for the 2nd year in a row. And right away, it was the Oilers on the prowl, and you knew they would come out hungry this game. They had some good looks early, putting the puck towards the net and testing Bob, but it would be the Panthers to strike first for the 5th time this series. Reinhart pounced on a brutal turnover by Bouchard, then pulled off a filthy windmill move on Ekholm, looking like Marchand from Game 5, and as he drove in and got tripped, he still managed to rip it far glove side on Skinner, putting the Cats up 1-0. Bad awareness by Bouchard, Ekholm took the puck and not the body, and Reinhart made an amazing individual effort to go backhand-forehand and get a shot off while falling. Skinner, he didn't seem fazed though. He made a nice save just 30 seconds later to settle things down, and Bob held his own at the other end, battling through a tense 4-on-4 stretch. The pressure kept building on both sides, and the goalies were sharp, each making huge saves. But with under a minute left, another awful turnover by Bouchard led to an attack by the Panthers. Luostarinen drew McDavid over to him, opening up Tkachuk, who let a shot go from the top of the slot, finding the back of the net. A perfect screen by Lundell let Tkachuk go far side, 2-0 Florida, and for the 3rd game in a row, the Panthers have a multi-goal lead, leaving the first period. Even though the Oilers were in a hole again, they didn't let off the pressure. They actually looked pretty good. The Panthers, though, they didn't let off the gas either, and it was pretty much back and forth for the entire 2nd period. Then with 2 minutes left, Verhaeghe turned and just threw a puck on net. Skinner turned it aside and laid it down perfectly for Barkov, who slid it to Reinhart to make it 3-0. Horrible rebound control here by Skinner. Nurse just let Reinl walk to the blue paint, and that's a recipe for disaster. And now, the Oilers have themselves an even bigger hole to climb out of going into the 3rd period. Stu stayed strong though after a bad goal, and he did everything he could to keep the Oilers in this game with some huge saves. But down by 3 goals, Knoblauch decided to pull the goalie for an extra attacker with 7 minutes left, throwing everything he had at the Panthers. But they quickly broke out, moving the puck from Verhaeghe to Barkov to Reinhart, who buried it into the empty net to complete his hat trick. Then just 2 minutes later, he scored again on the empty net, his 4th goal of the game, becoming the first player since Maurice Richard back in 1957 to hit 4 goals in a Stanley Cup final game. But Coles didn't put in a sympathy goal for the Oilers, but this one was over. The Florida Panthers are the 2025 Stanley Cup champions, going back-to-back, the first team to do so and winning both on home ice since the 80s Boston Bruins. So, are the Panthers a dynasty now? 3 straight finals appearances and 2 cups in a row. That's pretty impressive any way you look at it. Honestly, I think their run might even be a little bit better than Tampa's recent stretch. Tampa was a great team, but Florida's done it with a mix of skill, toughness, and consistency that's really hard to ignore. The kind of sustained success is pretty rare in the NHL these days, and now calling them a dynasty, it might be a little bit early. Sometimes that word gets thrown around too loosely, and I don't think the Panthers have it just yet. But they're definitely building something serious. It's crazy how quickly they went from being an afterthought of a team to a team everyone's watching. Whether or not you want to label them a dynasty yet, there's no question they're one of the best teams the league has ever seen, and they're here to stay for a while. A huge part of Florida's dominance has been their sheer talent and depth of their roster. Sam Reinhart, he's turned into a playoff killer. He scored the cup-clinching goal last year and then followed it up this year with a 4-goal masterpiece. Matthew Tkachuk once again showed why he's the ultimate playoff warrior. He put up 6 points in the final 4 games of the series, and he made an impact every single time he stepped on the ice. Sam Bennett led the league in goals and walked away with the Conn Smythe this year, tearing through defenses and dragging defenders with him shift after shift. On the back end, Gustav Forsling quietly shut down McDavid for most of the final, logging huge minutes and making it look effortless. And then there's Carter Verhaeghe, who somehow keeps showing up in the biggest moments. Florida doesn't just have stars, they have clutch stars, and that's what separates them from the pack. And the crazy part, we've gotten this far without even mentioning Alexander Barkov or Sergei Bobrovsky, 2 guys who just locked in their Hall of Fame ballots with this run. Barkov has been the quiet backbone of this team for for years, but on this stage, his two-way dominance was impossible to ignore. He shut down top lines, won critical faceoffs, and still found ways to produce offensively. The guy does everything. Bob has been the steady presence in net for 3 straight years now, delivering consistent play and coming up clutch in the biggest moments. But if you want to talk about great players in this run, you have to mention Brad Marchand. His trade deadline pickup might go down as one of the greatest pickups in NHL history. I still have no idea how this trade went through. He put up 20 points in 23 playoff games, including 6 goals in the final alone. Marchand brought more of exactly what this Panthers team is: experience, grit, and a relentless style that wears teams down. He blended right into Florida's lineup and made them an even harder team to play against. For the Oilers, though, this loss stings, and it puts them in a tough spot heading into the offseason. They've now become the first team since the late 70s Bruins to lose back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, and that's not the kind of history anyone wants to be a part of. Connor McDavid was once again brilliant all playoffs, but the conversation around his legacy is starting to shift. He's entering the final year of his contract, and there's a real chance he looks to extend his contract this summer, but another missed opportunity like this will only add pressure. Corey Perry, meanwhile, made his own kind of history, as he has now lost 5 of the last 6 Stanley Cup finals. A bizarre and brutal stat for a guy who's seen it all. And then there's Stuart Skinner. He had flashes, but his inconsistency on the biggest stage might force Edmonton to take a hard look at their goaltending situation. This team is too talented to keep falling short, but something clearly has to change. The Florida Panthers are Stanley Cup champions again, and this time there's no doubt about who the better team was. As they celebrated on home ice, hoisting the cup for the 2nd year in a row, the Oilers were left with the same empty feeling they had last June. For Florida, this wasn't just a win, it was a statement. They've become everything teams try to build: deep, disciplined, relentless when it matters most. It's not just one magical run, it's sustained, measured dominance. For Edmonton, it is back to the drawing board yet again. Questions about their core, their goaltending, their ability to finish, they're all back on the table. But for now, this moment belongs to the Panthers. 2 cups in 2 years, 3 finals in a row. A team that used to be overlooked has become the standard. Whatever comes next, this run will not be forgotten.
Very much a surreal feeling right now.
It always is, and it never gets old, and it's just, you can pinch yourself, but you just, like skating around with the cup, like you just don't, like, how lucky are we? It's amazing.